Hey there, this is Matt once again. What about you in the videos? This is another paid request, this time from Jack Thompson. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, Jack Thompson wanted me to review an episode of Frasier, a season 2 episode 3, and I guess to be honest, I didn't grow up much with Frasier. Like, I knew of the show. I knew what it was about, that it starred Kelsey Grammer and David Hyde Pierce. It was connected to Cheers, because Kelsey Grammer's character was on Cheers, and as that show was winding down, they were thinking what else to do with Kelsey Grammer. I think at first he didn't want to play this character again, but he kind of... The network and the studio said, hey, we kind of... be nice if you play this character again with some type of connection. And this became another very successful show from going into the 90s. And I just see why, because just based on this episode alone, the way the characters interact with each other, I thought was rather witty, and they had a good chemistry. Kelsey Grammer, very likable and quirky, and like I said, I got quite a few laughs from this episode. I thought this was very funny. Frasier is a psychologist, and he has a show on the radio. By this point, he is living with his dad, and I guess was his dad's like helper, or I forget what her job entails. So pretty much what happens in this episode is that there's a smoke alarm going on, and again, the way the dialogue was written, I thought was pretty funny. Like, God, that smoke alarm's so bad. It'd be less upsetting to wake up on fire. And they find like a cigarette, and they find out that the lady Daphne's been smoking, and like, yours? Oh no, it must be this. Oh, the dog. You've been smoking in Daphne's bedroom again. Oh, you bad dog, right? And like I said, I thought it had some good timing. Like, you find out this girl, Daphne, is depressed because of her love life. And Kelsey Grammer's like, hey, I know what you mean. I'm divorced. I'm lonely. I'm living with my dad. And then he takes her cigarette and starts smoking, even though he said he doesn't smoke. And like I said, the way the characters interact with each other is very quick, is very spot on. The way the characters insult each other, like someone calls David Hyde Pierce, like, listen, you little titmouse. I didn't really see that coming. So the big gist of the plot of this episode is there's a station manager who comes in. He's new. But what he does is Frasier's trying to get him to come to his place for a dinner date to set the station manager up with Daphne. Unbeknownst to Frasier, the station manager is gay. So when Frasier sets this up, and the way he makes it sound, the station manager thinks and misinterprets that Frasier himself is asking him out. So when he gets there, and this is why I even asked Jack Thompson, why this episode? Because it seemed kind of random, like season 2, episode 3. And he said, well, it deals with issues with like homosexuality, that it's not hammering down a message. It's not making fun of one or the other. It's not calling people homophobe or any other nastiness. It's how you handle this type of plot line with respect and trying to get humor first and foremost. Not a message, not a political message. Just literally it's about the humor of the characters. There's no lectures, there's no speeches. It's literally about the humor of the characters for entertainment purposes, which more fucking things should be. I tell one thing, I got more laughs out of this 20-minute episode than I did in the whole goddamn movie of Bros. Because this one was actually better written and better acted. where I did Frasier's under one assumption, the station manager's under another assumption. Frasier thinks he's going to set this guy up with Daphne. The station manager thinks Frasier wants him and him alone. So the guy's like, oh, you live with your dad? I mean, isn't that tough to bring dates home? And so Frasier goes, well, when I bring my dates home, usually he tries to steal them. So when the dad comes and starts talking, the stage manager, oh, Frasier warned me about you, thinking that the dad's going to hit on him and not, something else going on. Or the guy goes, wow, this apartment, there must be a hell of a view. And Frasier, without thinking, says, man, you think that's good? The view's even better from the bedroom. And again, Frasier just says that innocently enough, but the other guy thinks something else. And then David Hyde Pierce comes in, who plays Niles, Frasier's brother, because he likes Daphne, but then he finds out what the station manager wants, and he says, did I do something to offend you, man? Like, do you have issues with me going out with your brother? And Niles like, what was that? And so the guy repeats it, and then David Hyde Pierce stares him straight in the face and goes, no. Do you have any issues dating with your brother? Do you have any issues dating... If I learn how to say it right. Listen, I'm just asking, do you have any issues with me dating with your brother? And he's like, no. This is how dead-faced he said that. Just something about just the way the actors and the dialogue, it just really made it funny. And like Frasier's like, oh, come on, Niles, leave him alone. Some of us want to crack at him. And it's just, again, he's just not realizing what he's saying and what the situation, can't read the room. And it ends spoiler alert, it ends on a nice note where Frasier realizes what's going on, and where before that, you get the idea David I. Pierce tells the dad, and you just hear the dad laughing his ass off. And then they're ready to leave, but Niles does the right thing, says, hey, Dad didn't want me to tell you, but, this is what's really going on. And there's a nice little conversation between Frasier and the station manager. Like, hey, I'm sorry about that. And here's how you write characters, folks. The station manager is not being pissy, not being bitchy, it's not being lecher. He's like, hey, man, it's cool. No problem. And you get the laughs from the characters. Like, Daphne's ready to come in, and like, you really didn't know I was gay? As she hears that, she quickly turns around, throws something, leaves. Idea that the timing, the deadpan quality of the delivery of dialogue, the way, very funny, very entertaining. Like I said, I'm kind of sad I never watched much of the show, because if it's this type of quality, I think it would be a show I would enjoy. So, yeah, handling that, again, based on humor and characters, not for a fucking lecture. Okay, this is what Jad Thompson was meaning, and I fully get it. So this was a fun, again, Season 2, Episode 3 of Frasier. I don't have the show, but it was on Daily Motion. And even if you don't know anything about Frasier, if you want to see something genuinely funny because of the characters, like I said, somehow someone sees this, you got burnt out by shit like Bros, go watch an episode like this, and it just shows what you can do with quality acting and writing. But apparently that's too much to ask nowadays. For some fucking reason. Yeah, I don't really have much issues with it. It was a funny episode. Like I said, I was surprised how many chuckles I got out of this. Like I said, this one passed me by, Frasier. I don't know why. Maybe, I don't know if it was the network it was on. Or... like, growing up, I had ABC, CBS, PBS, and another form of CBS. And so, like, as I was growing up, as a kid, I would see maybe Home Improvement. I remember seeing some shows that didn't last long, like Grace Under Fire, and then longer shows. I remember seeing bits and pieces of Murphy Brown, bits and pieces of Major Dad, some bits of Family Matters, Full House. I think I did that Ryan Reynolds one, Two Guys, a Girl in a Pizza Place. But it's been so long since I've seen any of them. Like the sitcom I watched the most was one I only saw because my aunt taped it for us because she had NBC, and that was Elf, that sitcom, which lasted about 4 seasons. And I'm looking at the German DVDs. Does the German DVDs have more footage of Elf? Like they're, for the most part, are not the syndicated cut episodes where they cut the songs and they cut footage out for time for reruns. That's a whole other thing where Shout Factory bought him, Elf, and then they haven't done jack shit with him. At least physical media wise. So I guess I went, oh, I wonder if they're gonna do a Blu-ray. I guess not. So good job, Shout Factory. Another fuck up on your part. Anyway, getting back to this. Yeah, I definitely thought it was a funny episode. Yeah, I'll probably label this, Frasier Is Funny because I don't know how else to word it and title it. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.